I think people are hungering for a positive campaign, so I'm not going to go after this man's opponents. I won't be saying things like the only difference between Mitt Romney and a statue of Mitt Romney is that the statue never changes its position. That's not positive, not even to the statue. And I am not going to answer the gotcha question, am I interested in an open marriage? Though I am flattered that Newt Gingrich asked me.
Welcome back to Harbaugh. Stephen Colbert rolled into South Carolina, his home state today, where he held a pretty big rally, some say a huge rally by local standards, with Herman Cain there. Police estimate the crowd was attended by 4,000 people, which is a big number down here. That's more than the actual candidates see at a rally. And he continued, Stephen Colbert did, exploring a run for president down there in South Carolina. What effect will Colbert have on this election? Steve Kornacki's a real reporter, political columnist for Salon. Sir, I don't know what to make of this, but today on Morning Joe, Colbert took on the question of open marriage. God knows what he said, but here it is. Let's listen.
What, sir, is your position on open marriages?
I just can't believe that a journalist of your stature would lead with such garbage like that.
Yeah.
I don't care to answer that question. I don't care to answer that question, Willie. And I don't think the people in this room want me to answer that question.
Standing ovation.
No standing ovation. I'm all for it, but you need two people to make that vote.
Yeah.
Well, later, Colbert defended Gingrich for his honesty. Let's listen.
You know, honesty is the best policy. Here's the thing that I don't think Newt Gingrich gets credit for. Okay, a lot of politicians screw around on their wives, but he was enough of a gentleman to ask permission first. Okay? That's a Southern gentleman. That's what Robert E. Lee would have done.
That's what Robert E. Lee would have done. Kornacki, I'm not used to asking these questions. This is a bizarre territory for us, even on a Friday night, late this evening. What is this guy going to do? His campaign, he's running under the name of Herman Cain. He's saying if you vote for him, whose name is still on the ballot, then you're voting for me or what? Talk about sending a message. What is it?
You know, I'm not sure myself, although part of me kind of wonders, you know, we saw Rick Perry get out of the race yesterday, and obviously he wanted to help Gingrich, but you also kind of wonder, with Stephen Colbert making the push for Herman Cain's name on the ballot, if maybe Rick Perry was a little nervous about finishing behind even Herman Cain / Stephen Colbert in this thing. But I just think his entire sort of pose here, in a way, he's trying to draw attention to campaign finance stuff, but it's also kind of a commentary, I think, maybe unintentional, on that blurring of the line between celebrity, politician, presidential candidate. And in a way, Herman Cain kind of typified that, you know, this year. The big question with Herman Cain all year was, is this guy actually interested in being president? Is he actually interested in running a serious campaign? Or is he interested in just saying he wants to be, he's running for president to get media exposure, to get on the talk shows, to get in the debates? And here we have Stephen Colbert, who clearly doesn't want to be president, but is going to sort of flirt with the idea, and look what it gets for him.
Well, somebody ran for mayor of New York years ago, Jimmy Breslin, the great columnist, around. I think his promise was if elected, he will demand a recount. I mean, this is not going to happen. He'll get 3 or 4 votes. And I guess the question is this going to send any good message? Because people, I am convinced, this is a sad commentary. I don't know if you agree or not. Regular people don't give money to candidates. They maybe give a couple $100. Some people may give that kind of money, which is a lot of money for people. But most people, when they see millions of dollars being paid by people like the Koch brothers, they can't even get it in their heads what that means. And so they move on to voting on a guy, how he deals with his wife, how he deals with issues like the economy they can understand. Do you think people focus on campaign finance when they go to vote?
No, I mean, I've never thought so. I've always thought the power of sort of campaign finance messages is what it says about the candidate's character. I mean, what I'm talking about there is the example that comes to mind is John McCain, when he ran for president way back in 2000, and when he was the Straight Talk Express.
He looked good.
Yeah, and his special issue was campaign finance reform. Nobody actually cared about the specifics of what he was calling for, but it was him against the system, and that looked good to people.
Yeah, and the system beat him. Well, today in South Carolina at a rally, Colbert addressed questions about whether his campaign is for real or not. Let's listen.
The pundits have asked, is this all some joke? We've all heard it, haven't we? And I say, if they are calling being allowed to form a super PAC and collecting unlimited and untraceable amounts of money from individuals, unions, and corporations, and spend that money on political ads and for personal enrichment, and then surrender that super PAC to one of my closest friends while I explore a run for office, if that is a joke, then they are saying our entire campaign finance system is a joke. And I don't know about you, but I have been paid to be offended by that.
Okay, Herman Cain gets 5 points tomorrow night when we're reporting. It's 11 o'clock at night. What will people report? Will they say this is important, a stab in the eye, a poke in the eye of the campaign finance system, or it won't even make a paragraph? What will be the report if Colbert succeeds on the Herman Cain ticket?
I guess, first of all, it's humiliating if any candidate who happens to finish below him, if something like that happens. You know, right. Some people will say it's about campaign finance reform. I think the prevailing interpretation of it will probably end up being, if he does well, will be this is how bad and how unimpressive this field was to the voters of South Carolina.
Okay, Steve Kornacki. By the way, it was Bill Buckley, the great Bill Buckley, the late Bill Buckley, who said, I'll demand a recount. Breslin ran in another race.